Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Tuesday, October 28th. 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 6th of Cheshvan, 5786 in the Hebrew calendar. Today's podcast is going to be a little bit short. I'm heading out of New York and returning to Tel Aviv in just a couple of hours from now. Now, let's get to the news. We have some news about the ceasefire between Israel and the Hamas terror group. Early Tuesday, Hamas opened fire on IDF troops in Rafah. The IDF is still in Gaza. They just have to come back behind a specified line. A terrorist cell came out from a tunnel and fired at an IDF excavation vehicle, killing 2 soldiers. A reserve soldier was also severely wounded and evacuated to a hospital. The IDF responded, launching air and ground strikes as a response to this incident. The Prime Minister's office said Hamas violated its agreement, and after a security consultation, the Prime Minister ordered IDF strikes to continue. IDF Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir says Israel will not remain silent as Hamas continues to violate the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Zamir warns that Hamas committed to returning the bodies of deceased hostages, but has delayed and staged recovery efforts, calling the terror group an organization built on terror, deception, and treachery. He vows that Israel will act to bring every hostage home for burial, saying the war is not over and Hamas will, quote, pay a heavy price if it continues to break its commitments. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who just came to Israel for a trip, told journalists today that the event was just a skirmish and that the ceasefire is still holding. Hamas actually denied responsibility for that attack on IDF troops in Rafah and accused Israel of violating the truce with their new strikes, including 3 airstrikes that were reported tonight, so that's Tuesday night in Gaza City. Palestinian officials say at least 2 people were killed and several injured, while another strike landed near Shifa Hospital, but there were no casualties during that one. Israeli leaders say the strikes come in direct response to Hamas's violations and failure to return hostage bodies. Palestinian media reports a new wave of airstrikes across the Strip, authorizing IDF response to the ceasefire violations, but reversed course after an attack on troops in Rafah. We will get to that a bit later in the show. After hours of examination in the Abu Kabir Forensic Institute in Tel Aviv, experts found that the hostage body handed over by Hamas on Monday night was actually additional remains of Ofir Tzarfati, a hostage whose body was already recovered by the IDF in December of 2023. The idea that I'm getting from the news is that Hamas sent body parts from this one man to Israel throughout different stages, essentially rationing out the pieces and hoping that it would pass. I'm going to read the Times of Israel report on this, just a section of their article, because they express it so well, and also because it's hard to write this. It's very disturbing. They report this. I'm going to read it word for word. On Monday afternoon, Hamas brought the remains of Tzarfati out of a building and placed them in a large hole it had dug in the ground in a neighborhood of Gaza City. It then covered the body bag in dirt and pretended to uncover it for the first time in front of the Red Cross. The entire incident was filmed by a military drone. The full footage was published by the IDF later on Tuesday after Tzarfati's family was notified by military representatives that additional remains of his body were returned by Hamas. That's their 2 paragraphs. Now, the Tzarfati family said this in a statement. This morning, we were shown a video of our beloved son's remains being moved, buried, and handed over to the Red Cross. This is the 3rd time we have been forced to open Ofir's grave and rebury our son. Apparently, Hamas had staged this fake recovery of his remains, which was then captured by an IDF drone. Now, in the Jewish faith, one is supposed to have as much of the body, even including blood, as possible for a proper burial. And that's why Israel and the Jewish people have these experts who go through great measures to get every last piece of the body for burial. But this was unexpected. The family has blasted Hamas for what they are saying is a big manipulation. The IDF and Israel police said Yamam, counter-terror officers, acting on Shin Bet intelligence, killed 3 Palestinian terror operatives during a raid in the Kafar Qud area near Jenin in the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, depends on how you call it. Yamam snipers opened fire as the gunmen emerged from a cave, killing 2 and wounding a 3rd person before an Israeli airstrike hit that cave and killed the final operative. The Palestinian Authority identified the dead as 3 Palestinian men, one 21, one 27, and one 29 years old. Hamas claimed 2 of them to be members of their terror organization, that's Hamas. The IDF noted that the West Bank airstrikes have become rare since a major 2025 counter-terror offensive left Israeli forces stationed in multiple refugee camps in this area, dramatically reducing terror alerts from the region. Israeli officials say these areas have previously been hotbeds for terror. A special thanks goes out to our partner, Bernie News Network, or BNN, for providing great intel for us here at Israel Daily News. For fast and precise updates, join BNN on WhatsApp and Telegram at their website, bernie.news. And a special thanks to Perry Schwartz, our news writer, who has been loyally following the updates and writing her heart out. And of course, I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News with your monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using that link. There's also an option for a one-time donation as well. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We're on X, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Our page is at 40,000 followers. You can also follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. I've got a lot of information on my personal page about my speaking engagements, things that I'm working on, things that are coming up. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. Now, I'd like to just make a little note that just came up for me while I was doing this podcast, which is I heard a humming noise out of the corner of my ear coming from the kitchen. I am in New York. New York is not under a war, but my body just tensed up because when I hear that hum, it sounds like the sound of a missile that's about to rise, because the intonation of the alert for a missile coming in starts and it goes up. And you know, I'm going to be returning to Israel, and we're not supposed to have any more sirens. We're in a ceasefire. We're not supposed to have this type of violence. So I think that it's going to take myself and the entire nation quite some time to kind of get rid of this trauma. When I hear any kind of loud noise, when I hear an ambulance or a fire truck, even in New York, I start looking around. Where's my closest safe room? I think it's going to take our entire country quite some time to get rid of this. We've all been running around on adrenaline and anxiety for 2 years, and I'm just curious when I get back to Israel to see what the street feel is and how people are coming down from this horrific high. So I'm going to keep you updated on that. Maybe you want to sign up to the Israel Daily News weekly newsletter for that at our website. Scroll down to the bottom, drop your email address in. That's israeldailynews.org. I write about a lot of these personal sentiments in there, so I encourage you to do that. The 39th World Zionist Congress is convening in Jerusalem. It's underway. More than 2,500 delegates from 40 countries around the world are gathering to discuss the future of the Jewish people and Israel, making it the largest plenary ever. The record-breaking global elections held earlier this year culminated with 265,000 votes, including 224,000 of them from the United States. 7 new countries are represented for this term. That includes Uganda, Ecuador, Paraguay, Serbia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan. We will all have a seat For them, this is the first time they're going to be involved. And yes, that means that there are Jewish delegates in all of those countries. And I know that some of them sound really far out, but I've actually met Jews from Kazakhstan a number of times in Israel. So yes, there are Jewish communities in every place around the world. Some of the items to be discussed include lowering the delegate age to 17 and establishing new memorial days for certain figures. This is the first plenary to convene after the October 7th, 2023 attacks, with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu actually declining to speak for the first time, highlighting growing tensions between Jewish institutions and the Israeli government. There must be a lot of politics this year behind the scenes. The World Zionist Congress was first held in 1897 in Bern, Switzerland, with 200 delegates from 17 countries. Known as the Parliament of the Jewish People, the goal was clear: to establish a political and organizational base to restore Jewish sovereignty in the land of Israel. The meeting resulted in the World Zionist Organization, which is the organizational foundation for Zionism. The Congress met annually, and then they started to meet every few years. This shaped early Zionist institutions like the Jewish National Fund, Karen Hayesod, and the Jewish Agency for Israel, and they all have a high level of influence at the Congress. Elections are now held every 5 years. We covered that several months back. We did some election coverage of that election several months back, and it's really going to be interesting to see what comes out of this year's plenary. All right. Well, that is it for today's show. Today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 20 degrees Celsius and a high of 26 degrees. That's 68 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 79 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week. And of course, it has a personal note from me at the top. I mentioned that earlier. You can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. I'm going to send you off today with a song called River by Kunda and Laor. This song is brand new, and I mean brand spanking new. It's being released on Friday, but we're actually getting it first ahead of its official debut. This is the first time that it's out. Enjoy this cousin duo from Jerusalem. I like their music. I hope you do too. And I always find it has a meaningful message. Shavua Tov, everyone. Have a great week and enjoy.
Where are you coming from? Where you gonna go if you don't know? You got to let go and flow with the river, glow through the night. Shine your light and it be alright. Where are you coming from? Where you gonna go if you don't know? You got to let go and flow with the river, glow through the night. Shine your light and it be alright. Come heal the water, what do you see? If you open your eyes, you will be free. So come, what do you run from? Run, your fears they want some.
I used to have hate, now I have faith. Now I have love and rage and no patience to wait for them to appropriate our words in inappropriate ways, then to incorporate us into their corporate cage. As they manipulate the mind of the mouse, so doesn't leave the maze, and they obliterate the truth to make sure that they don't base. They dig our graves and grieve, wipe their faces on our sleeves. Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, let my lips say.